Hi everyone, my name is King IV, and this is Introduction to Excel Basics. In our previous lesson, we covered basics of Excel, and now today we'll be moving on to formatting. So let's get started. So again, I'm using the Excel Basics dataset. Please ensure that you have this dataset downloaded. There will be a link in the section just below this video, the description of the video. Perfect. So really, most of the formatting, we're really going to focus on this home tab. And what we're going to focus first is this font section. And the reason why formatting even matters is that formatting matters is because you want to highlight the correct information. You want to make it easy for your readers to understand what's the header or what's the title of the columns versus like what's the actual data, or am I dealing with a number versus currency versus a date, and how I read and interpret the data. So formatting is, in my opinion, very important regardless of what data you're actually looking at. So we're going to start off with some of the basics, and this is going to be very similar to Word in some respect if you're familiar with that software. So very simple, like you have your different formatting of the font. So you have your bold, your italics, your underline, and then you can click any combination of them. So pretty straightforward. And as well, you can select the type of text that you want to use. So there's various options, very similar to Word. You can also select the size of the text, or you can increase or decrease the size of the text by one or up or down one by clicking this. So for example, this increases the size of the text because there's a plus sign, or you can decrease the size of the text. So pretty straightforward, nothing like too outrageous there. But what becomes more interesting is these fill-in colors. So basically, this first color is the fill color, which is basically the background of the cell. And the second color is the color of the actual text. So for example, like one of my most favorite combinations is this dark blue and then a white. And then I like to bold. So it's just a really simple and quick, easy way to actually go and format the cell so that way you can see highlighted. And then if you, so there's various color palettes here. If there are more colors that you want to here, you can always like click this rainbow stream and click any of the different cells, and it'll show you what the current is versus the new. Or if you have the red, green, blue combinations like RBG, or if you want to get I believe this is the hex color combination, you can also do that as well. So pretty straightforward. What else there also is this bordering. So right now what you'll see here is that there's only the grid lines, and let's actually get rid of the grid lines. So we'll go to view, similar to video one. Let's go view, get rid of grid lines. And then what you'll see here is that there's no lines around this cell. But if I were to click on, for example, bottom border, what you'll see is now there's a border at the bottom. If I were to click left border, oh, you can't really see it. Let's go this one. What you'll see there is now there's a left border on this EBR number. And then you can do like different styles and combinations. Go all borders, which basically surround the entire cell. Or actually, when you go, you might be wondering, there's also this outside border. So if you do the outside border, it's only going to do the outside of the actual area that you're highlighting, versus when you do all borders, it's going to fill in all lines between too. So if you do an individual cell, it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same regardless if you do all borders or outside borders, because there's no lines in between in a single cell. But if you select multiple cells, it's going to give you that option. So I find it very useful. You can also do different like line thickness, so you can see the different combinations. So you can go and then go this line color, and then click here and have this type of border if you choose to do so. But what I normally do is I just stick to the regular style. You can also change the color or erase borders or even draw them yourself. So typically what I like to do is I like to go highlight the entire worksheet. So in case you're wondering how I highlight the entire worksheet, I go press Control. I also hold Shift, and then Control basically allows you to go to the next empty cell, and then Shift highlights things. So it basically highlights everything. I just go Shift right, like press the right key, and then press the down key, and then press this all borders, and then let's just go to View and freeze pane top row, similar to what we did before. So if we were to format this one particular cell, let's just do one at a time. We're going to blue, white, bold. So pretty straightforward. There's also other combinations here. So there's always going to be this option to click more details into more font options, these further settings. So you click here, you'll see the various options. These are very similar to what you've seen already, the size, the color, underline, etc., etc. You can also do strike through, which basically puts a line through the text, which don't usually use that option. Superscript, which is going to make it small and put it at the top. Subscript, which is going to make it small and put it at the bottom. And then you can do borders, fills, alignments, all very familiar with, and we'll cover some of those areas further right now. So what you can also do is, the next area we're going to cover is alignment. So for example, you're going to have the top section is basically going to be your vertical, what we call vertical alignment. So this basically, so if I were to expand this cell, what you'll see right now is that it's bottom aligned. So if I were to click middle align, it brings the text to the middle vertically. If I click top align, it's going to bring the text to the top vertically. The next row is basically what we call horizontal alignment. So right now, it's usually going to default to left alignment. So if I were to click center alignment, you'll see that it comes to the center. If I click right alignment, it's going to line to the right. So what I typically like to do let me just get rid of this strike through, is I like to put it middle for titles, but it's really dependent on your personal preference. So let's double click this between the 1 and the 2, the little line, double click, and it's going to auto format back to the appropriate row height. So that's what we call alignment. And then there's obviously like different combinations. So you can do like text down, for example, like if you really want it in that format, and sometimes you do, depending on what you actually want to do and how you want to present it. You can also increase and decrease the dent. So it's really up to you. So I don't really use it that often. And then the next areas are going to be wrap text and merge and center. So this is, you can do like, you can just merge cells or merge across, etc., etc. So this is actually fairly important. So I'll give you an example here. So this project description. So if we go over to this cell and we were to shrink the row height, what you'll see here is now the text is gone. I can't see it. So either I have two options. One is I can expand the cell this way, and sometimes that's not going to be feasible because the cell is going to be too large and you're not going to be able to see the rest of the data. So another option is let's click on column E, highlight the entire column, click on wrap text, and then what it'll do is it'll word wrap the text so that it'll go on to the next line. So a very useful and handy feature. Another useful and handy feature is this function called merge. So for example, if I want to merge, I want to combine these two cells to represent one cell, all you have to do is click on this merge right here. And oftentimes you do that for like titles or to put together like groupings. So it's a very like useful, you can also do it vertically. So here you just highlight the cells, click on merge. You're probably wondering like what will happen if I try to merge two cells that both have data sets in. It's going to give you this warning that it's only going to keep the upper left value. So for example, if I were to merge these four cells, it's always going to take the upper and left. So for example, if I were to merge these two, application status is upper and to the left, so it's going to take precedence in the formatting and the actual data. So very useful and handy. The next area I'm going to cover is around the actual number we call numeric formatting. So let's go to the right where we actually have the project cost here. So what you'll see the project cost, and this is a currency, like a dollar amount. So what you'll see here is maybe I want to add the dollar sign. So you'll see that there's some quick formats here. So the first one you're going to see is going to be called accounting format. So click here. What it does automatically is it forces it to 2 decimal places, puts a comma at thousands, and then throws a dollar sign out in front. So that's very useful. What you'll also see is this percent sign, which will basically force it to become a percentage, and then this comma style, which is basically very similar to the accounting style. The only difference is that the accounting style will also include the dollar sign, as well will format negative numbers differently. So if you want to increase or decrease the number of decimal places, so for example, if you want to represent it in dollars, then you just click on decrease decimal, and then every time you click it, it'll decrease the decimal place. And if you click on this increase decimal place, it'll increase the decimal spots. So both are very useful. So if none of those three, I would say, like quick hotkeys that work for formatting, you can also go into here and look at the various combinations. So you can put general specific, which basically means like no formatting. You can do numeric, currency. So currency is going to be very similar to accounting, except for what you'll see here is that currency will just leave it as this item when I turn to negative, but when I'll treat it the same. So there's some minor differences, but we'll get around to that once we go to some further civic examples. So let me just get rid of this negative sign out front. So we have it currency. So, and we want to change this to, let's change this to number. So there you go. So that's numeric formatting. There's also these other formats: dates, times, percentage, fractions, significant difference. So if you go to more, you can see the different combinations and how they get treated. So in currency, you can actually adjust like how you want to show negative numbers, whether or not you want to show negative numbers with red text, which is very common, or like in the concept of like being in the red, which means being in the negative values, or just putting a negative sign in front. You can also change what the actual currency is. So in this case, it's dollars, but you could have changed it to a number of different items. So what we're actually going to do here is we're going to go to this area next. Is what you'll see is that these dates. So there's a couple date options here. The two main ones are short date. Another one is long date. So long date is basically going to give you the month in character, like in text, and then give you the date, comma, the year. Well, and it depends on how your Excel is set up, so it might be slightly different. But this one's, in this case, is giving you year dash month slash day. If you don't want it in that particular format, you can always go to more numeric formats, go to date, and then change it to any of these combinations, or you can even customize it. But let's just go see these various options. So maybe I don't want the full, maybe I want this format, which is a format I'm more familiar with. It's just day slash dash month slash year. Which basically gives the date followed by the month in short form, followed by the year, just the last 2 years. So maybe that's the format that you're more comfortable with. But you can also change it to a number of different combinations. Depends on what your preference is. So what you'll see here is that these dates are actually very inconsistent, which actually makes it really confusing to look at. So if you actually want to fix it, so the one option is obviously to go in and remove all the formats and try to like get it to the same date format here. That takes a while, even if you were, so an easy way of doing it is to click on Format Paint, and then what Format Paint does is basically it takes all the formats, bold, size. So for example, if I were to increase the size here and I were to go to this next cell, it would also increase the size. So it takes everything from these areas and applies them to the cell that you're targeting. So in this case, if I were to click here, it would apply it. So what we're gonna do here is go to Format pane, just press Control Shift. So you should be pressing down right now on Control and Shift, and then just press down, and it's gonna format the remaining fields downwards. So really quick and easy way. Like I'm a really big fan of Format pane. It basically does a copy minus the actual contents of the cell. So really just changes the format. Really quick and easy way of formatting. Let's change this to counting. So just highlight the column and click the $sign. So really quick and easy way of generating formatting. But what you might also want to see is like, okay, that's fine and dandy, but what I'm particularly concerned about is maybe I don't have the proponent's website, and I really want it to stand out if they didn't provide their website. So what you want to do here is click column I, and we're going to use this function called conditional formatting. So conditional formatting basically allows you to format the cells based off of particular rules. So here we're going to click on conditional formatting, and we're going to go highlight cell rules. Basically what we're going to say here is that if the text contains let's actually say if the text contains www, or actually this contains a dot, which is basically all the items. So then we're gonna say fill it with green. So that way what we see here is that every time there's a cell with a dot, which is an indication that there's a website, it's going to highlight in green, so I can clearly see the rows that are blank. It makes it really easy. Or maybe I want to see, like, maybe I want to do a conditional formatting based off the project cost. So I'm really worried about really expensive projects. So then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, or you can either do like highlight the top 10 items here in like red. And then what you'll see here is that it's going to highlight all the top 10 most expensive projects. Really quick and easy way of using conditional formatting. And say, for example, I want to then highlight the top 10 capacities and see if they correspond. I'm going to make that a green and dark green fill and see if they correspond. So in this case, this one they do. So this one you'll see here is doesn't. So pretty interesting to see, and really quick and easy way. Another there's many different conditions you can put. You can put like if it's greater than 100,000. You don't necessarily have to go with the default ones. You can create a custom one. So if it's greater than 100,000, I want it bold. I want it to be the fill to be like a yellow. So what you'll see here is that it basically formatted all the projects that are greater than 100,000. And if you want to change the rules, or yeah, in this case I press cancel, you can also manage rules here and change the various rules that are being applied. So that's essentially formatting. So if I were to quickly format this spreadsheet, let's take a before and after shot. So I'm going to create a copy here. Basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to format that across, and I'm going to add grid lines, and I'm going to leave the top 10, which I like, and I'm going to leave that. And that's essentially how I would format and then I would wrap text here, and then maybe do like a middle alignment vertically, just so I can see all the data. So yeah, that's essentially formatting in Excel, like very important. And what you'll see is that you're going to apply formatting, you're going to develop your own style. So that's it for now. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a good rest of the day.